You're listening to The Builder's Mindset with Mike DiGiovanni, presented by Amazing Mindsets. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of The Builder's Mindset. I tell you what, I like doing these more than I like doing the posts. I usually use AI to snip something out of these for the posts, but I didn't like the one for the last episode, so I had to record one. And I think it took me 5 or 6 takes to get it just right. And I still had a blunder in there, but finally I was just like, I got to get going. I got to get moving on. I like these a little bit more because it's a little free form and we can just kind of roll. And I can believe that you don't mind when I flub or kind of make a silly. But anyway, so if I seem a little off today, or should I say if I sound a little off, because I think most of you listen, or if you are watching and you see this hat and if I look a little off, it's because I'm really sunburned. Yesterday, I was supposed to do a 100K race. It got really hot and I've been struggling with I had a calf injury a couple of weeks ago, which led to my Achilles, and I had to make an audible, and I dropped down to the 50 miler, but it was super, super hot. And so I really baked and sunburned yesterday. And so as I was looking at my recordings, my face looked a little flush, feeling a little vulnerable about that. There's my first flub. And also just feeling, I don't know, a little lethargic. My muscles are a bit sore from running. It was actually 45.5 miles because the mudslide, post-fire mudslide caused the course to have to be adjusted and got shortened up a little bit. But neither here nor there. We are here and we are recording. I'm not sure what episode number this is going to be because I'm going to try and do one. This is either going to be the last one before the Builder Show episode, or it's going to be the one right after the Builder Show episode. We just have to see how that all plays out. Anyway, if you've listened to any episodes, I don't mince about most podcasts are recorded stacked or whatnot. We kind of, we just do when we can. And, I don't know, episode 25 might be 24. But we did recently drop episode 25, which statistically is a milestone because apparently I read a statistic that says 90% of podcasts don't make it past episode 3. And of those that make it past 3, only 90% of them don't make it past 20. So we're a statistical anomaly. If you've already started listening to our other podcasts on our network, Built on Faith, I think we just released episode 5. So we're already in the top 10% from that perspective anyway. And so let's get going. This is the Builder's Mindset, and today and this past couple of weeks, we've been doing series on kind of best practices, product development, purchasing. And so today what I'm going to talk about is product development, purchasing, and the schedule. We're going to go high level. This will be a short episode, and hopefully if any of you listen to it and you know somebody who needs this, you'll share it with them. And hopefully if you need some help with this, you'll reach out to us. We are, as I mentioned in that last podcast, we're going to take on a couple of builder clients this year. Not many. We don't have enough time to take on too many, but probably 2 or 3. We can do 2, maybe 3 for a 6 to 9 month window to help jumpstart your purchasing, product development, and supply chain, and then we'll run through those in maybe 2 to 3 in the back half of the year. But we're getting our group program going, the Warrior Profit Academy, and we want to put that out because it's going to be, we'll just be able to get to more builders and help more builders that way. The one-on-one's great. I'll always keep a couple of one-on-one clients because there's certain people that really works well for, but I think there's other companies, and there's a lot of smaller production builders out there who really, I think, with everything that's going on with the scale and all the buyouts and all the mergers, you want to do one of 2 things right. You've got to hedge your bets when it comes to costs, whether it's inflation, costs due to tariffs, or just regular inflation. You just look, everybody has a saying, if you're not growing, you're dying. But literally, seriously, if you're not changing, the environment around you is changing. And so if you're not doing something that you can do to improve your business, you're going backwards because the world is changing. We can sit around, bury our heads in the sand, and hope that AI doesn't take over the building industry. We can hope that modular doesn't take over the building industry, prefab doesn't take over the building industry, and but hope's not a strategy, right? But faith that you'll be around is a strength, and you want to have faith and you want to have hope, but it can't be your strategy. Your hope has to be founded and rooted in process and implementation of that process. And so, as I just go over high level really quickly, what I believe you should be doing to have an effective product development process that sets your purchasing team up for the best chance of success. I'll give you we'll talk about a few things, but as we go through that, I want you to really think about, do you do this? And if you don't, why? So I'm going to start off with a quote from I'm not going to mention any names, but this individual was a very high-ranking regional person at a public home builder and is now in the C-suite at a public home builder. And when I laid this plan out for this individual, their response was, "That is the longest bid cycle I've ever heard of." And then I proceeded to explain why it was what it was. I didn't just pick a number out. It's 16 weeks, okay? And I'll break it down for you. And there were two things that I thought of immediately before I accepted the cross-examination, which that's what it was. And I coach my clients all the time, particularly mid-level clients. I say, look, when your superiors question you, don't get defensive and don't acquiesce. Okay, why do I say both those things? Like, when you get defensive, like it just seems like you're just being combative, and don't acquiesce. Well, what do you want? Like, how can I? No. Imagine you're on a witness stand and you're being cross-examined by your superior, who it's their job to poke holes in what you do. One, so they can understand it, and two, so that they can make sure you've thoroughly vetted out what you're recommending to them. That's their job. Their job is not to be an expert in everything. So that's why you don't acquiesce. If they question you, it's because they want to make sure that you know what you're talking about. They don't want you to just lay down like a wounded dog, belly up, and just go, okay, I'll do it in 4, And so what I proceeded to tell this individual was, I first said, look, the shortest cycle you probably ever heard of is 8 weeks. And yeah, I've heard of cramming it down somebody's throat in 4 to 6. And you got change orders at the wazoo out the gate. Your models don't build quick enough because nobody really has what they need and they're not contracted. It's just a mess. And so what I said is, let's just go 8 weeks or 16. If you plan for that extra 8 weeks and it saves you $1 a square foot, we've done this math before. It's simple, and I guarantee you it'll save more than $1 per square foot. Okay, if you save $1 per square foot, that's $2,500 a home. What are you gonna do with that? I just recently saw a letter that a large builder sent to their trade partners that said, "Hey, we need you to reduce your cost by X%," or, "Hey, we're building a similar product over here and that person's charging us X per square foot and you're a little bit more than them. We're going to need you to do what they're doing." And we're trying to level everything off, or we're trying to just set the standard. Everybody's going to give us back this much. Okay. Why don't you start by controlling what you can control? Okay. Let's run an appropriate product development process that leads us into a 16-week schedule for our bid process. Now, how long should that product development process take? We'll talk really high level on that too. Depending upon your internal players, I have found in my history, the product development process loses the most time internally 2 ways. One, when the architect or whomever gives their product back to the builder and the builder's on the clock. They take too long getting together and getting their comments and their notes concisely organized and back to that particular individual. They take too long to schedule their VE constructability meetings. And so then the builders want everybody to shortcut their time because they just didn't plan appropriately. Your product development process, if you're starting totally from the ground up, you got nothing. You're going to start with line sketches on a paper. Yep, the good architects still do it that way. If you're going to start that way, depending upon how fast you can be internally, it's going to take you, I like to just say 6 to 9 months. And then I want 16 weeks after that to do the bid process properly. And we can break this down into greater detail if we come and we work with you, we help you out. But essentially, let's just say you have your poop in a group, and you can look at the schedule and you can plan when stuff's coming back from the architect, and you can have your meetings internally scheduled, like when that comes back, so you don't lose a week or two. Oh, the stuff comes back, and then, your product development manager looks at it, and then they have some thoughts about it. A couple days later, they start talking to everybody about, hey, the plans came back, we need to get together. And then they end up scheduling a meeting for a week and a half because everybody's schedule's so wacky and so booked. And then they squeeze it in, and they can't get through all the plans. So they give the architect 2 of the 4 plans back. And then a week later, they meet and they go over the other 2. If you're doing that, honestly, it's going to take you 9 months. You'd be surprised. You'll eat another 3 months up if you don't plan. How do you plan so you can get it done effectively in 4 to 6 months? I mean, if you're really, really, really on it and like the stars align, you can try to get it done in 4 months, but you should really allot 6 because it's always better to have a little more time than you need than to be behind the 8 ball. So 6 months. And that's if, like I said, the architect is held accountable to, they say, hey, we're going to get you our schematics in 4 weeks. Okay. Schedule that meeting for the 5th week, like internal meeting. Or if you're gonna have a charrette with the architect, schedule it then, let the architect know that it's scheduled so they're on point, but then also tell them, you've got to get us these schematics in 4 weeks. We'll have that meeting in 5, and then everybody's on notice. The architect knows they have to be done in 4 weeks. Everybody knows they have that 1 week to look at them and get their thoughts around it and come prepared to that schematic design meeting. Now, if you're willing to do that and you can run that schedule through design development, through 50% CD sets, then you can loop in the structural, the mechanical, and the energy consultants and designers, and you keep doing that all the way through the process. Get in a first plan check, have your constructability meeting while you're in first plan check. We'll go over that in greater detail in another episode, but all right, let's delve in right here. So I believe you should plan on having 2 plan checks. I know there are some states and municipalities where you can just get in with shit on a napkin. Yes, I said shit. On a napkin, they're going to pass you first time. That's fine. Go ahead. Do it, And then let your trades figure it out while they're building the models. Okay? After they bid the job, hold on, now wait for this. They've already bid the job because they're on the models. Now they're giving you your VE. And now guess what comes up? Anybody ever heard that saying? It's $5,000 to add it and $500 to take it away. Or it's $500 to add it and $50 to take it away. So when it's already in there, it's already $500 in the cost, in your cost of that house. Then when they find it, when they've already got the contract and they find it in the models and they decide they can do without it, you get $50 back, okay? That's why, once again, you want to save that $1 and I'm telling you, you'll save way more than $1 a foot. You go in for first plan check with your city and you assume that process will take about 4 weeks, depending upon the municipality that you're in. Maybe 8, depends. If you're in Riverside County, California, that jurisdiction, Riverside County, 8 weeks minimum, okay? In that window of time, and you do the same thing like you did with the structural design and the design development, you build your schedule based on what everybody commits to, based on your service providers in your market. It'll vary a little bit here. Some architects are really busy. They want 6 weeks to get to this stage. Some want 4. It's not the end of the world. It's we can tailor it to specifically your market. When you're in first plan check, you know when you're going to go in. Everybody's meeting their schedule, right? When you go in for first plan check, that is when you plan to have your constructability meeting, okay? Why do I say to do that? Because your architects and your structural engineers, they're going to ask the appropriate questions to get you to, what I say is, your first plan checks are 80%. This is another reason why I say back to That's 16 weeks for the bid cycle. It does not start until you submit your second plan check. And this is all why. Accept and assume that the city is gonna like get their pound of flesh in that first round of plan checks. So use that as an opportunity. Say, I'm gonna make some changes, right? So when you go for first plan check, you have a complete set. That's the other problem with a lot of VE and constructability meetings. We send this stuff out and we're asking the trades to make guesses while the structural engineers are still trying to finalize their stuff. The truss designs are still kind of in the works and everything's kind of not fully there. Get a full set that you can submit them, and then that week that they're submitted to the city for first plan check, have your constructability VE meeting scheduled that week. Okay? And so, or let me phrase that. Have it scheduled after 2 weeks after you submit. Why? Because when you submit the first plan check, you send it to all of your key trade partners that you want to get comments and feedback on. You use like a Google Sheet, or if you've got Microsoft, you can use OneDrive or Teams. Those get a little quirky with sharing things outside of your organization, but somehow, some way, take a spreadsheet, build a spreadsheet with your plan types, and allow all of your trades to dump in and share. And you can create sections, like one for the framer, one for the electrician, one for the... You can also just ask them to send it in an Excel form. You can give them a blank form and then you can copy and paste it in. But you essentially just want like the plan, the room, the elevations, that way they can say it's plan one or all plans, it's the master bedroom, it's the master bath, or it's all elevations, or, sometimes it's like, hey, in the elevation B, this detail for this header, this window type, it's really confusing. It doesn't, or this transition of materials looks weird. So give them that format, and you can be flexible, whatever that works for your market, and have them fill it out. Give them that 2 weeks, right? Have them submit it to you. And then in the third week, you've already got the meeting scheduled. So back end of the third week. So the back end of the third week, you schedule that meeting. Now you've gotten the comments in 2 weeks. You take that third week to kind of review them, compile it, look through it all. Now you're starting to get yourself around what they're asking for. And then you get them all on a call. You can do it like, you don't have to get them in a room. You get them all on a virtual call. And you go through. And some of the other columns are we going to accept this recommendation or not? And if we are, who's the responsible party? Is it just the mechanical designer that needs to make a change to the HVAC? Is it the structural? Is it the structural and the mechanical designer? So that way you have that list of who's responsible. And then you use very simple color coding, Are we going to do it yes or no, red or green? Okay. Who's responsible? You have that in there. And then is it complete or not? Now that comes back to, so now, when everything is done, you run through that meeting, you go through all of them, all of those suggestions from all the trades, the HVAC contractor, the electrician, the framer, the plumber, who else would you have in there? You could have your fire sprinkler guy, you could have your truss designer in there, you can have your foundation company. Now you've decided all of these things. Now, what you also get, like kind of an added benefit, is all the trades are like, whoa, they actually listen. And I guarantee you every trade will get a couple of things that you'll do, and they'll be like, oh, you're actually helping yourself lower your cost and make it easier for us to build these houses. So now you take that spreadsheet, and on that call, you also have your HVAC designer, your energy designer, your structural engineer, truss designer, and your architect. And when it's all done, you now tell all of them, okay, get ready with all these changes and wait, because then as soon as the city comments come back from first plan check, which is where we usually get the most, you're going to lump that on top. You'll make all the city first plan check comment changes. You'll add those to your constructability VE comment changes. That goes in for your second plan check, and that becomes the set that you give your purchasing team, and their 16-week clock ticks. Now, let's go into the longest bid cycle I've ever heard of. Let's first cut to the chase about like why 16 weeks is really 12. If you want to run effectively, if you're going to start a new community, when you go to start a new community, you're going to build a model home, right? Model home's not going to be a standard home. It's going to have options. It's going to have designer items. It's going to have upgraded paint, upgraded wall finishes, upgraded landscaping, et cetera, et cetera. There's going to be a ton of options that the sales team is going to want to pick. And so also, I don't know about you and your market, but in most of the markets I've worked in, it takes 2 to 3 weeks, usually two, we'll call it two on the short end, 3 to 4 on the long end, to get a lumber pack pulled for a model set. So if I want to pull up a pack, I got to have those purchase orders for that material in the system at least 2 weeks before I start my models. And I don't just snap my fingers and it's in the system. I got to get the contracts done, and I got to have it in there to release those plans on that lot. And so, and then the sales team's got to go in and pick all their options. So the last 4 weeks of that 16 weeks is when purchasing's done in 12 weeks. They hand over this nice bow, this nice package with a nice bow on it to the sales team and the construction team. They give the construction team a trade list with a contact list. They give the sales team and the marketing team all the options. Everything's in the system, picked, ready to go. Everything's contracted 100%. We can go start those lots in our system. Okay, that's your last 4 weeks. So when I say a purchasing team needs 16 weeks, they really need 12, but their finish line is 4 weeks before we trench models. Okay, and that is, trenching models is that's the checkered flag for me in home building. The checkered flag for me in home building is trench models. You tell me when you want to trench models, and I'll tell you when to start your product development so you can get the best product at the best price, the most efficiently designed. And I guarantee you that even if you give that 16 weeks plus the 9, give me a year, start to finish, do plans from the ground up. We'll value engineer them. We'll design them right. We'll bid them right. We'll get you the best possible cost, the best product for that market. And they still won't be done with land development. But that's a whole other story. Sorry, land development guys. I'm not picking on you because I know what you're up against. It's not you, it's me. Just kidding. It's not you, it's the city. So, okay, so what do we do in that 12 weeks? So when we go in for second plan check, we give that to the purchasing department. They send it out to bid. What are we doing? We're going to give the trade partners 4 weeks to bid. What? Yes, we're going to give them 4 weeks to bid. Why? Because the framers and the lumber takeoffs take 3 to 4 weeks to do the job. Now, I could build this whole like Gantt chart for everything from appliances, which take 3 or 4 days or 2 days, to shower enclosures, which take, actually shower enclosures should take 2 days, but unless like a lot of builders, everyone's different. If you're building entry level or move up and your master shower is not the same and your secondaries are not the same, then I don't know what you're doing wrong. And so that's a whole other topic when we talk about streamlining your product, okay? So what I want you to think about though is, from a Gantt chart perspective, and we're not gonna build this, we're just use common sense. 4 weeks for the lumber company, right? In that 4 weeks, some of those trades are going to get done sooner. And so you're going to get those earlier, and your team is then going to be able to work into those earlier. So the ones that come in a week or two, they'll start working through those. They'll start negotiating and processing those. But your foundation company, your framer, your electrician, your plumber, your HVAC company, they're going to start to take 2 to 3 weeks or 3 to 4 weeks. And so now you've allotted the appropriate amount of time for all your trade partners. And they're going to thank you for it. And they're going to know that you expect them to do a very thorough bid because you didn't rush them. You didn't tell them, here's 5 plans, 6 elevations, and I need your framing bid in, all takeoffs done in 8 days. Like, come on. Like, we can build a schedule that works. We just got to plan a little bit better. So that's your first 4 weeks of the 12. Second 4 weeks of the 12. Now I'm spreading the numbers. I'm talking with trade partners and my internal customers. I'm talking with the construction team, giving them a heads up, who's where, trying to let them know what's coming down the pike. They're going to beg, borrow, and plead for, Joey Concrete, but Joey Concrete is 7% higher than Julie Concrete. And, I'm going to tell them like, hey, but they're both over budget, so we're going to give them both a shot. Hey, if you want to, look, you have all this back and forth, and that takes time. So you allot 4 weeks. Why? Can you get it done sooner? Sometimes, yeah, some trades, but I want to be done. We don't need 100%. I tell you, we do all of this hurry up and wait garbage when it's really what we should be doing is be patient, get it done thoroughly, 100% flip it out to the construction team and let them go do what they're good at. I've worked with some of the best construction teams in the country, probably in the world, some of the best construction leaders. And I tell you what, when I give them a complete package, 100%, every trade contracted, every option costed, right, done, man, they can build those models faster than you can imagine. So 4 weeks to do all of that, dial it in, and then we've got all of our trades picked, and we've had some communication with our construction team so they know who's coming, what's coming. Last 4 weeks, what are we doing in the last 4 weeks? That's the bow, man. Now we're wrapping it. We're finalizing all the contracts. We're scrubbing through the options, make sure they all have costs, making sure they're all priced appropriately for our directed margins target. We are giving the sales team the option book so they can start looking at it ahead of time. Let them tell us, what's going on, what do they see, anything wrong. And now we spend that 4 weeks, we clean everything up, we put a bow on it, and so now it's 100%. Not 80, not 85, not 90, is 100%. We basically said, give me an extra few weeks so that we save months of headache and hassle. Okay, so 4 weeks for the trades, 4 weeks to negotiate and talk with our internal team and make those decisions, and then 4 weeks to clean and scrub everything and hand a bow. Now the construction team has a trade partner list. The starts coordinator can release lots and purchase orders in the system. All the options are done, ready, and picked, and the sales and marketing team can go configure their models in their first phase production, and we're ready to go. And all of that is done 4 weeks before we trench models so that we can release POs and so the lumber company can start pulling their stuff, so we can start coordinating with the interior designers what's coming up. All of our trades can have all the special stuff for the models done, dialed in, ready to go. And the purchasing team, guess what we do? We move on to the next one and just roll from one to the next. You can build a schedule around that. You can make it work. I promise you that. I've done it at 1, 2, 3, 4 divisions of large public home builders. It can be done at your production builder. Whether you've seen it or not, it can be done. And I promise you, if you do it, you will save time in the long run and you'll save money that'll go right to your bottom line. So you want more details on this, click the link in the show notes to get in touch with us. Join the building, join the Amazing Mindsets community, join the Building Mindsets, the Builders Mindset community, and learn more about our upcoming group program where we can go more into detail and depth on this. You can get time with me where we can help with your process of how you implement it, because as I always like to say, in the home building world, everything we do is not the same, but 80% is. We got to be respectful of the 20% that's unique to your company and your market. We can help you do that. We can help you get it dialed in and running right. We hope you're doing great. We hope 2025 is off to a great start for you, and we hope you thrive in 2025. Have an amazing day. You're listening to The Builder's Mindset with Mike DiGiovanni, presented by Amazing Mindsets.